my country received a lot of money to shut down the fish boats. We have a huge coast in Portugal. We have plenty of conditions to fish, and it suits us. And I don't understand why the hell I have to go to a supermarket, and instead of having the fish of my coast accessible, I have to see, I don't know, fish from Spain or fish from France, and the same with meat, because our resources, they suited us. But the European Union made us kill our resources, gave us money to kill our resources, and turned us all, not only Portugal, in people that depends on benefits. And this is not good for anyone. And I feel that the European Green Deal, the obsession with the ecology and the green illness that seems to affect everybody and be the most important thing to everybody in European Union. I don't know exactly why. It's the beginning and the end. Like in the last month, I heard my prime minister saying that after the Nice meeting, they had the meeting in Nice regarding to the oceans and protecting the oceans and all of this. Um, they will give money to the fish people, the fishermen, in order to restrain their work. So they literally said, we are going to give benefits to the fishermen for them not to work.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.
Welcome to the party, pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 324, and returning for it's been a long time is Claudia Nunes. She is from Portugal. She's still living in the European Union, although she's been traveling lately, and she's really getting well known. And she's going to talk about the state of the European Union right now and how it's influencing everybody else. We might also talk about an app she's developing. She's a user interface designer and also involved with the Ladies of Liberty Alliance. How are you, Claudia?
Hello, Chris. I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing okay. It's going along smoothly here with the show. So what is going on with the European Union right now? I mean, you're saying it's really trying to take over the world, which I do pretty much agree with. It's
Okay. So there is a lot of um, a lot of lines of thoughts that we can follow to understand the states that we are now. So basically, when the basis of European Union, the CAA, it was
CAA.
exactly. I said CAA because it's in Portuguese. That's how I say it. CAA. It was very. It has a very liberty spirit, like free trade. Uh, it has the right idea. Like, let's trade freely. Let's go to the other countries freely. Let's make it less difficult to exchange wills and cultural wills as well, and values. Erasmus program, everything. But they had other plans for us, and the plans were never just to leave it like that, just leave it as a project of freedom. um, a lot of things start to went wrong. In my opinion, for example, with the euro, I don't think it's okay to have a coin that it's the same to every countries. I can tell you that I was very little. It was in 2001, and I remember that things that used to cost 100 escudos, 100 uh, in our money, they doubled the price. It was like €1, the double of the price. So everything started to become way more expensive, more or less to the double. Simple things, and we didn't really see the benefits of having a unique coin for everybody else, except for the ones who traveled a lot, which in Portugal in 2001, it was not a reality. It was something for the most privileged people that then changed with the low cost company. But I think the poorest countries didn't uh, earn much with that changes. And then things as things progressed and we started to become more integrate, we start to lose our sovereignty. My country received a lot of money to shut down the fish boats. We have a huge coast in Portugal. We have plenty of conditions to fish, and it suits us. And I don't understand why the hell I have to go to a supermarket and instead of having the fish of my coast accessible, I have to see, I don't know, fish from Spain or fish from France, and the same with meat, because our resources, they suited us. But the European Union made us kill our resources, gave us money to kill our resources, and turned us all, not only Portugal, in people that depends on benefits. And this is not good for anyone. And I feel that the European Green Deal, the obsession with the ecology and the green illness that seems to affect everybody and be the most important thing to everybody in European Union. I don't know exactly why. It's the beginning and the end. Like in the last month, I heard my prime minister saying that after the Nice meeting, they had the meeting in Nice regarding to the oceans and protecting the oceans and all of this. Um, they will give money to the fish people, the fishermen, in order to restrain their work. So they literally said, we are going to give benefits to the fishermen for them not to work. For me, this has a name. This is socialism. This is happening everywhere. So this is one of the dimensions, giving us money and made us not be productive in the name of the sacred environment thing. And the second thing is that they are trying to make us silent. So every time we want to discuss that we don't like their policies, we don't like the way they are managing, for example, the immigration situation, which is another big thing in Europe at this point, because there was years and years of open borders, and we are watching the consequences, particularly in Germany, where people are not safe anymore. In France, the same thing. Like it becomes normal that there is stabbings, that there is crimes of every type. In my country, now that we changed the government, we discover that the previous government, the socialist government, allow to enter in Portugal people that they didn't even ask for the criminal record. Everybody entered in Portugal. So with the safety issues, you also have the public services bursting. We have no capacity anymore. And so every time we try to express our discontent about this situation, European Union has a name for it, and it's called hate speech. And under hate speech, they are putting a lot of people in jail, not only in European Union, but also in United Kingdom, that despite it's not in European Union anymore, Keir Starmer, the prime minister, is trying to reverse Brexit because he is following the exact same policies as European Union. They are trying to bring back United Kingdom to European Union in an unofficial way, and there's a lot of people being arrested by express this type of insatisfaction with the policies. So we are in a very dangerous situation at all levels. We are facing the risk of poverty. We are facing a lot of insecurity, and we are in a process where we all feel that something is about to change because people are not taking it anymore.
Yeah.
If you look to the results of the last European elections, you can tell that.
Yeah, and they're also trying to interfere with European elections, and not I do wanna add too, a lot of I think a lot of British fishermen were complaining about the same things, as the Portuguese fishermen were, and, Britain, of course, is an island, so naturally, all these if you're on I mean, if you're on the sea, you're gonna have seafood. I mean, what country doesn't have seafood that's not on the sea? It's,
Of
yeah,
course.
and Portugal has never really, as you pointed out in the earlier conversation, never really gotten up to a high standard anyway after, you had all those years under Salazar, which, and then it's interesting, Salazar either stepped down or well, about the same time as Franco died, and then suddenly there's this new wave of democracy in the Iberian Peninsula, and then but it's still not really caught up with the rest of Europe, so it's, uh yeah, I don't know. They're just it's like they just want you to be a welfare state instead of be self-sufficient, and you'd be better off being self-sufficient, it seems, I mean, but you still gotta trade, and that's how it always happens. They said, "Okay, we'll bring trade," but then you have all these regulation and strangulations, it's absolutely yeah.
Yeah, yes, exactly. For me, it's a little bit difficult to think about Portugal alone at this moment. Political, like we are not sovereign in our choices. We are not very sovereign. It's really revolting when I see on the news that European Union doesn't agree with this budget. European Union doesn't agree with this decision. European Union have a saying on this because European Union doesn't have to have a say about the countries. And I used to alert people about the language that we use here because we used to allow them to call ourselves member states, like all member states of European Union. No, this is wrong. I always say this is wrong. We are not member states, we are country states because they are trying to erase our autonomy. And yes, it's true, they are making this all plan that goes both sides, two sides. On one hand, they try to alienate the candidates that they consider and they call extreme right wing. So the extreme right wing that they called is what used to be called cons- conservadorism, conservatives. It's mostly the dissidents of the moderate right parties that said, "Well, that's enough. We are not enjoying the way that our countries and Europe are going." The majority of these political parties, national political parties, in Portugal we have Chega, in Spain we have Vox, in France, we have the party of Marine Le Pen. So these nationalist parties become to appear a little bit all over the Europe. In Portugal, I think it was one of the latest countries to have one of these parties because we are a very conservative country, not in a real acception of the word, but we are conservatives in the sense that we like to maintain things as they are while they are not bad. So we when we had Chega, I think Spain had Vox already, his brother party, for 12 years, something like that. So at this moment,
Conservative Party in Spain and Shiga. How do you spell that?
Chega in the Portuguese
CH.
party,
Yeah, yes.
it's CHE G, um, in like goat, and another A, Chega. That means enough. So the name says it all. And for you to have an idea, Chega in we had national elections because all of our governments fall lately because they don't have the absolute majority. First, there was a socialist government that had absolute majority but fell because of corruption. They put our corrupt prime minister, allegedly corrupt prime minister, on European Union to be the president of European Council. That's what European Union does. They give prizes to the ones who made these type of things. So after the socialist government fell, we had 2 or 3 elections in each year. I can't be precise at this moment, but I can tell you that Chega passed very quickly, in less than 5 years, I believe, from one single member of parliament to 60. 60. So we had elections this year, and they elected 60 members of parliament. In the last year, before these elections, they had 50, and the year before they had 12. So you can see how Chega is growing, and this is not the exception. And this is a message because in Europe, these countries, they are sending a message. They are saying the most bold message that they are trying to send it out is regarding to immigration. Like, look, we can't have these people here. This is not a normal flux of immigration. uh, if we are receiving people, and in the case of my country this is true, we are receiving people in Lisbon that they are hidden in souvenir stores, they slept on the basements, and they are being helped by Bangladesh with money to be here. So there is this big scheme to receive these people. Uh, Most of these people are not legal. We are having a lot of crimes regarding to this lack of control. People start to understand that the national government has nothing much to do with that, but only to follow European Union orders. In fact, they were fined the countries that didn't receive these immigrants. Um, Hungary was one of the only countries. I'm not sure if Poland was one of these countries that say, "Look, we are sovereigns in our borders. If you want to fine us, that's okay, but we prefer to keep the control of our borders." That's exactly what Viktor Orban said, and that's why they say Viktor Orban is a dictator, and they are always constantly trying to expel Hungary, cut off Hungary from their rights in European Union. They try to cut Hungary when it was their time to have the presidency, because Viktor Orban decided to talk with both Putin and Zelensky. And the European Union said, no, 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 this is unacceptable. So the countries, they don't have freedom, they don't have freedom of action. And as they see that these political forces that are nationalists, and the nationalism is a reaction to this collectivism, it's an obvious reaction, they are making it more authoritarian. So if we see the situation in Romania, they cancelled the elections in Romania. they ask for help to European Union. European Union openly helped. They say that that elections were not valid, and suddenly every candidate that are against European Union, it's a candidate that it's not valid for some reason. Um, and they are very scared because they can't control it. I don't know if you have the idea how European Parliament works, but when there is European elections, the countries they sorry, it's not the countries, it's like the parties, they are divided by families. Let's say if I give a vote to Chega in my country, and if a Spanish person give a vote to Vox in her country, we are electing these members of parliament to a big group called Patriots for Europe. So they are all together in European Parliament, the same way as if I vote for PSD in my country, this vote will elect MPs for the group of Ursula von der Leyen, APP. And that's how European Union is organized. And what is happening at the moment is that that nationalist group, that group that combines all the nationalists, it's growing. It's the third biggest force in the European Parliament, and they are being alienated from the decisions and from their rights of action in European Union. So they are doing that to these parties, and they are doing the same to the people that support the messages of these parties, putting them on the jail.
I was gonna ask you what you know what, I did have a guy from Romania on here just to talk about what happened there. There was, a where they just went in and and declared this election null and void. I mean,
Yes.
I often wonder, if what happens there is seemed to be a faster version of what happened here in America, because the USA was supposed to be where you had sovereign states, and I think America still is somewhat decentralized, but you know, y- Portugal only has about 10 million people, and your assembly has 230 230 members of parliament. So, I mean, it's about so you have to get if you want to be in the legislature, you have to get the approval of what about would that only be about 40,000 people or that it's not a very I mean, since it's a small country, it's probably not that hard to get into the Portuguese parliament, is what I'm saying.
You mean like a new party, a new political force? It's not that difficult
Well,
to enter. That's what
well,
you mean?
what I mean is if you divide the population, then a member of parliament represents about 43,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in America, to get into the Congress in America, you represent one of them will represent maybe 700 or 800,000 people.
Yes.
So it requires more money. It requires getting to know people.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when it's only 43,000 or so, you can get a bunch of volunteers together. You just go around and knock on doors and say, "Hi, I'm running for parliament." It really changes things, and I think that's where so people are naturally going to have an affinity for Lisbon more than they will for Brussels, and well,
It's
there
not
were
it's
yeah.
not that difficult. If you are going to Brussels, it's awful. I'm sorry, it's awful. I think it's the ugliest
Not to mention,
thing happening.
I mean, isn't everybody in Portugal isn't everybody in Portugal pretty much no more than 4 or 5 hours away from Lisbon? Is that right about or I mean,
Yes,
plane?
yes, yes, probably. Let's see. I'm from Lisbon, and if I want to go to Porto, I am 3 hours away from Porto, and probably three and a half from Braga, which is way up in the north of the country. And uh, In Lisbon, if I want to go to Algarve in the south, it's probably less than that, I
Yeah.
believe. More or less the same, 2 hours and 40, something like that. Lisbon is slightly closer to the south than to the north. But yes, it's a small country. Then you have the islands, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are.
But if somebody wants to really wants to complain about something, they could get on the train in the morning, show up at the parliament, complain, and then go back and then go back home and be home before bed. It's not hard. They can't do that with Brussels. There's
Yes,
this
yes, and related to European Union, one of the problems is that they are very distant from us Europeans. Let's say, if I want to know what the Portuguese Parliament is up to, I just need to turn on the TV, and we have a channel. And in the channel, if you have enough patience to see it, you can see them all day what they are doing. And regarding to European Union, we don't know what they are doing. Uh, when we elect our representatives in there, we completely lost their track, what they are about to do. It seems to have even a session from their national parties, like they were elected for this national party, but they are in a different group, following another directions, obviously, because it's a mix of people from all countries, and sometimes we don't really know what they are doing. They are not. I don't know if it's by purpose or not, but the communication, even in the social media area, is not very clear. I'm very happy that one member of European Parliament that I really like, which used to be an ambassador, Tanger Correia, he invited me to visit the European Union, European Parliament, um, and I could see with my own eyes that there is a lot of processes in there. um, Everything is decided for us. For example, in this point, they decided that they will put a lot of whirlwinds, offshores, whirlwinds, to wind power. They decide to put a lot of them in the Portuguese coast without any study of environmental study. They didn't do that. They just decided that we have perfect conditions to do that. And what is communicated to the Portuguese people is that the government, so the national government, decided to install these aeolic offshores on our coast. They don't communicate to us that there is a Brussels decision. They talk like if it's their decision. Therefore, I think the national governments are um, are in a point where they are not needed anymore. They are just executors of the wills of Brussels, and that's one of the main reasons that these new right-wing parties, the nationalist parties, are growing. I have absolutely no doubt about it, because you have a lot of people with different concerns voting for these people. On one hand, you have the true nationalists, people that don't want the immigration policies, etc., etc. And then you have the other type of people, the people that are really Eurosceptic and that understand that the orders came from Brussels and they want to get rid of it. But for what I see, uh, they are not the majority. I think people are not really understanding yet that everything we don't like, everything that seems awful, is coming from Brussels. Like yesterday, for example, in Portugal, we received the news that to acquire an air conditioner, we will have the biggest tax over it in Portugal, which is 23%. We are a poor country. So when I look at that, I saw this is not uh, an initiative from the Portuguese government. This is an order from Brussels to accomplish the goals of European Green Deal, because that's the only reason to just decide something so random, because when we don't follow their orders, they fine us, and we can't be fined. So that's it. That we are strangled up. I think that's the expression.
Yeah, they're really pursuing the whole Green New Deal thing. I generally can regard myself as being pro open borders, but not doing background checks on these people, it seems rather insane. Although I will say I don't really know where. Although although I also acknowledge that in some of these cases, these countries probably don't have very good records to begin with. So you may not be able to look up and find out whether or not such a person has committed murder or not. But Claudia, is it also fair to say though that in most European countries, Europeans can't really defend themselves from criminals? It's hard to buy guns. And even if you do end up retaliating, it seems like the law is almost stacked in favor of the criminals. Is that right or wrong? I mean,
I can't even have pepper spray.
yeah,
So I think you have your answer by that. I heard about a group of women in United Kingdom. They are being very vocal about the sexual abuse that they are being victims from the part of immigrants. They are making a stance on it. It's really the point. Like, we are not safe because we have this uncontrolled migration with different habits. And our women are being raped, are being abused in every ways. They have statistics, they have everything, and they used to protest in front of the Westminster Palace. They are really brave, really. In United Kingdom, doing that at this point is is you need courage because you might ended up in jail. But uh, one of the things they were discussing, I think I saw it on X, were that we need to make a homemade pepper spray to defend ourselves. We don't have the possibility to do that. Um, when I go to Lisbon, to be honest with you, these days, I don't feel safe as I used to feel when I worked there. I worked there, I don't know, 5 years ago, probably 4 years ago. I went to Lisbon every day, center Lisbon. And now, when I go to Lisbon, there is a small neighborhood called Martins, which at this moment is basically a ghetto. It's there is a street that was occupied by Muslim immigrants, and that would be fine if they followed the rules of the country they are in. But uh, there was one Italian girl being raped in there. There is another girl from the Erasmus program, so she's not even Portuguese, claiming that these people entered in her house, older people that lives in there, because these old neighborhoods of Lisbon, they are mostly uh, occupied by the old people. It's traditional neighborhoods. The old people claim that every day they see drug traffic on the streets. Every day there is stabbings. So it you don't feel safe in Lisbon anymore. Sometimes you feel like the political power is trying to gaslight you and saying that what you are going through is not what you are going through, it's not what you are seeing. I remember that, for example, there was a political group that wanted to roast pork in Lisbon, nearby Martiniz, that neighborhood. And the mayor said, well, you can't do that because that's very provocative. And let me remind you that the typical dish from Lisbon, it's bifanas, which is a pork meat inside a bread with mustard. And when I look at that, I thought, well, so we will come to a point where we can't even eat our typical dish because this is provocative. So we are becoming citizens of second category in Lisbon. And
Yeah,
every time there is a rape, crime, a problem in that street, in that neighborhood, we can't really say anything about it because it's hate speech. You can go to jail.
yeah, they're it's really, this is really, yeah, this whole thing about all this is hate speech now, and, everybody, well, that offends me, so, yeah, and I know this is, you it's really unfortunate there, and I would think people would be very protective of their cuisines. It's like, "Don't take away our food," "Don't change our food," stuff. So, yeah. So, do you think there would be how much of the immigration is simply, I guess what I should ask really is, if all this free stuff was cut off, would you have nearly as many immigrants coming to Europe? Because in many cases, they're not just I always say, look, if you're giving people free stuff, you basically are inviting them to your country. Whether
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what happened for the 8 years of the socialist government. For you to have an idea, the immigrants they only needed a paper claiming their intention of coming to Portugal to work.
yeah,
They only need that to say, well, I say from my honor that I will come to Portugal to work. That's all we needed. And suddenly we are flooded with people from PCC, like the worst and biggest and danger group of criminals from Brazil, for example. And all these people that entered, they received benefits. There was a very famous case of a man claiming that he receives 800 euros in benefits and complaining that this is not enough for him to support his family. And let me remind you that someone in extreme poverty in Portugal can only benefit from RSI, which is like the lowest of the benefits when you don't really have nothing. It's for extreme poverty. And RSE at this moment is 200 and something euros. So, how can an immigrant say that, well, I am receiving 800 euros from the state and that's not enough? So, people start to get angry with that. With this new government, and it's a point where these new nationalist parties are very useful. That is, they are good to make pressure over the traditional government parties. So now we have a center right party on the government, but they are very pressured by Chega because in the next elections, it's very possible that Chega might be elected if they don't behave because people had enough. For the first time, Portugal gave to the right wing, all combined, Iniciativa Liberal, PSD, Chega, 60% of the votes. For the first time in democracy, the right wing has this weight. And the government, the center right government, is trying to read the message. And the way they are dealing with it is looking of what Chega is standing for. And Chega is standing for less immigration, is standing for the preservation of the Portuguese culture, the preservation for this idea that we shouldn't give benefits and nationality to everybody else. And as a result, the Portuguese government this week is creating this new initiative where acquiring the Portuguese nationality will become one of the most difficult in Europe. And it was one of the easiest. And as a result, we are watching a lot of complaints on LinkedIn and social media saying that they are leaving Portugal. Like I saw an immigrant saying that, oh, well, I'm here for 2 years and I will have a baby. And so if my baby can't have the Portuguese nationality, I'm leaving, I'm going to Spain. So it looks like the majority of these people, of course, not everybody, and we need to always look to the individual, but there was a huge crowd of people that entered in Portugal to acquire nationality, to go to other countries of Europe without any scrutiny whatsoever, no criminal records, no job. So you have people that want the nationality, people that were having the benefits of the national healthcare system, the benefits. Uh, for you to see how ridiculous it become in the unfortunate airplane crash. I don't know if you heard about it. A crash in India from the plane going to United Kingdom. We received the news that in that awful accident there was 7 Portuguese people that died, and we were obviously shocked about it. But when we saw the list of the passengers, because obviously people were very scared if someone, like, can I lost someone that I knew, what's going on? And we saw that these people were not Portugueses by birth, they were not Portugueses by marriage, they were not Portugueses by ancestors. They didn't even work in Portugal. They didn't have Portuguese names. So how were they Portuguese? How we were able to nationalize people that don't even live in Portugal? So our system was filled with lacks. And we need to understand that when we give the nationality as easy as we are doing, we are giving rights. And with these rights, several things may occur. Like you are giving them the right to vote. And when they have the right to vote, they can outnumber us and change the society for a very different way. And it used to be a very bad scene with the cancel culture to even discuss that situations recently, because in the 90s we had a prime minister that warned us, like, we need to be very criterious regarding to giving benefits and nationalities, because it could change our social cohesion very fast in the 90s. And that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what this government is trying to reverse, to try to drive Chega electorates. So let's see how it's going on for us, knowing that we always have Brussels over us, saying, giving orders.
Yeah, where are a lot of the immigrants coming from?
Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Brazil. Our former colonies, we always had immigrants from our former colonies. Um, as Miguel Morgado say, a very respected
Yeah.
university teacher in Portugal, they said that for years we were blessed with a very good immigration, because our former colonies obviously have more cultural, even because of the language, the religion, the costumes. So for many years we have this blessed immigration where people came here to work really hard, and there was absolutely no problem. We lived in peace. Uh, and these immigrants that came from our former colonies, they continue to be a good example. People that work really hard, people that you don't go to the door of the social security and you don't see them queuing, asking for benefits. But then you see people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, India that suddenly came and tried to impose their culture. Like suddenly we can't roast a pig in Lisbon because we are offending someone, and we never had these problems with our old immigrations as to speak. We don't have. We used to have a huge wave of Ukrainian and Chinese migration to Portugal in the early 21, 22, and these people were living their lives, living their culture. We really enjoyed what they give us because we really felt really in the sense of the word cultural enriched. We have new foods, we have new amazing traditions to see, like the new Chinese year. It's amazing, they do it in Lisbon. It's lovely, and everybody respects the space of everybody. But with this new wave of immigration, this is not what is happening. Suddenly we can't do a lot of things to not offend. Suddenly our safety, because there was no control, is threatened. And it's awful that we can't discuss it openly. We can't openly say we were irresponsible. In fact, I was glad to hear our minister saying last week, and I think it was because of the severe pressure of Chega and the Portuguese in general, that with 60% of votes to the right wing, they were very bold in the message. So we have one minister that said we are in a very difficult situation. For 8 years, we didn't have any regulation of immigration at all. There was huge mistakes, and we have a problem for many, many, many years. So they finally acknowledged that, and let's see what's going on.
Well, I'm intrigued by this because obviously the former Portuguese colonies, you're going to have people there speaking Portuguese, but are people in Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan learning a lot of Portuguese? I mean,
They don't.
from what I hear, they're much more likely to know English. So I wonder what would motivate them to go to Portugal. It's
How easy, how easy it used to be for 8 years to go to Portugal. You don't need literally anything. You just say you want to work in Portugal, and that was it. That was it. Very fast. And it is so easy to acquire. It used to be so easy to acquire the Portuguese nationality that, let me say, Portugal is not a rich country. It's not the goal of anyone. So a lot of them came here to acquire the nationality to be able to be Europeans, and therefore be able to go to other European countries. So I think Portugal opened a very dangerous door, to not only for our country, but for the other European countries. Their final destination is not Portugal. They only need Portugal to go in to become Portuguese citizens, and then they go. Germany, France. It's easy.
yeah. Of course, Portugal is also. I know a lot of other Americans and other people have wanted to talk about leaving America. And one place they look at is Portugal because it's generally cheaper than a lot of countries in Europe. So in some cases, you're attracting good Americans. You might even be attracting rich Americans who aren't going to go on aren't going to sponge off the system. They just want to live there. I mean, I don't see myself. Isn't it true though? Still, though, there's also a lot of Portuguese are actually leaving Portugal and going to some of the other former colonies. Is that correct? I mean, how many Portuguese people are moving to Brazil, for example? Which
Uh, I don't think that at this moment, I don't have concrete numbers with me at this point, but I don't. I know that there was a wave of Portuguese people going to our former colonies back in the day. I know that Brazil received a lot of Portuguese at some time very long ago. I believe in the days of the military dictatorship that they have. I'm not sure, but I think that was the time. But these days is something. It's not the destinations that Portuguese look for because it's dangerous. Our former colonies in Africa, they are all being helped by Russia and by communist countries, and the Christians are being executed in Africa, in countries that used to be Portuguese colonies. They are being murdered. So uh, Portuguese only go there, in my perception, when there is a very specific job or task very well paid. In general, I know that in 2 years ago, I think the Portuguese went more to United Kingdom, and I think the last year it was Netherlands. I think that was it. And it reflects a generation that is very qualified because we are very qualified, but our incomes are not competitive. But we also don't want to be very far away from home. We want to be in Europe. We want to be nearby our families. We are very, because there is a very difficult, a very different ground between being in Europe, wherever you are in Europe,
Yeah.
or being in America. I was in America, as you know, and simple things like I want my espresso, and I was like, Can I have a coffee?" And the coffee has vanilla and has cream and has everything. No, no, I just want like espresso, and the best they can give me it's like a black coffee, and they think I don't think this girl is really okay. Like this is so so weird. I'm obviously joking here, but it's like the Europeans. We still look for opportunities in here in Europe. That's right. That we are facing common problems around all Europe, but we still try to look for the less damaged country. And I think there was the reason a lot of people went to United Kingdom because of the language, because it's only 2 hours and a half away. There is a big Portuguese community in there. People feel until now recently people used to feel good. Now they are starting to complain about the some measures that this government is doing, that is taking the citizens' freedom. And the Netherlands reflects a lot of these immigrants that are very qualified in tech and everything, and it changed since the 60s, the patterns of immigration, like in the 60s, 70s, and I believe until 80s, Portuguese people used to go to the French speaker countries like France, Switzerland, Luxembourg, because those days people were not very educated in terms of university skills. They just wanted to improve their lives, and these countries, which the language is not so different and not so hard to learn, like French, um, pushed a lot of people in those years to live there. But now we have a different type of immigrants. We have high qualified immigrations that want a different opportunities. So 30% of the young Portuguese people are now living abroad. This is very worrying.
Yeah. Where are they going?
Mostly United Kingdom and Netherlands.
Yeah. But is the situation really that much better in the UK? I mean, see if
Yes, yes, that's true. But as bad as the situation in United Kingdom is financially is still better than in Portugal.
Yeah,
Like you have people with let's say a doctor in Portugal earns like 400 euros for a month. A doctor, you know, and works a lot. And people are like, why should I stay here? I just go away. Um, you have people in tech working in the private sector, obviously, earning 100 and something, 200. So literally any country, regardless their other problems, like United Kingdom is suppressing speech and everything, but you can still make some money there, something that you can't make here. It's worrying.
that's unfortunate. It's I yeah. Anything else that you want to comment about the European Union or anything that they're doing, or any other groups like the World Economic Forum that are messing up things for Portugal or not?
No, I'm just a little bit concerned about the digital euro. It seems it's going to happen. It seems a voluntary stuff. We know how the voluntary stuff used to happen. They are openly thinking about the Chinese model. It's very obvious. I wrote an article about it. And that's why I tell you, I feel there is a huge tension in Europe at this moment. That's why they feel these needs of shut up the people. Because when I warn about this and about the consequences of what is going on, um, I'm making their plans visible. When the plans are visible, people revolt. If people revolt, they need to repress. So,
Yeah,
without no doubt, we are under a socialist dictatorship. In fact, Viktor Orban, the president of Hungary, he said that. He said that Ursula von der Leyen is operating like a Soviet leader.
yeah,
We are in this point where either European Union change or it will blow by the vote in this group of national countries. And I hope nothing worse happened, like a revolution on the streets in Europe. I hope, because that's not what we would like to do. But they
yeah.
need to change.
I
Or
always find I always find Hungary to be the interesting case because their language is so different from all the other European languages, and I wonder if that has something to do with it.
yeah, I think maybe Finnish language. I think there
Yeah,
is
the
a really
main language family is Finnish and Estonian, but yeah, but even I hear it's not that much like those. I mean, that Finnish and Estonian have a lot more similarities than they do with Hungarian. And,
no really.
obviously Portuguese has its similarities with Spanish.
And Russian apparently
Well,
not in the words but in the sounds. People always think that I'm Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, whatever, because the stress time languages. I don't know.
maybe
It's
it's because of the accent or because how you look. I don't know.
no.
That's interesting to hear. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Or there's a lot of things because and of course, obviously, there's Galician, there's Catalan, there's all those other.
Galician is the same language as Portuguese. Like in academic stuff, is the same language. In fact, it's very funny when you are Portuguese because when you hear Galician, it's like they are speaking in Spanish, and suddenly there is a Portuguese word, a very Portuguese word, with the same accent as we have in the North Portugal. So it's a lovely experience. Um, I think it's funny. It's the same language. I never went to Galicia though. I would love to go. Maybe I will soon.
It's not far. You could go all over Spain. I mean, I've been to Madrid, I've been to Barcelona. I've not been to Portugal. I may change that sometime. It seems like it
Yeah.
sounds like it's lovely. I mean, you represent Portugal very well, so
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You need to come. I think last year Americans were the tourists that visit us most. I read a lot of articles about the American fever regarding to Portugal. Apparently they like us and we like to receive them. We have a very good thing in Portuguese culture, you know. We like to receive. We really like to receive. Like we can have anything on the table, but if we have guests, we put everything on the table in the literally sense and not the literally sense in the other sense as well, in the metaphoric sense.
yeah.
We like people to feel happy, welcomed, and yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
and you're apparently working on an app. Would you wanna talk about that or not?
Yes, I can quickly explain it to you.
Yes.
So basically, there is a problem with the housing markets. I would say in Europe, and basically, I had this idea that sometimes you have, let's say, a spare room, or let's say that your income is not enough to pay your rent and you really would like to have someone who you can share your house with, but there is always some constraint in this because we don't like to receive anyone in our house, and this process is very tiring. So I thought about this app where you can express your personality and your tastes, your habits. Let's say, are you someone who sleep late? Are you someone who have pets? Are you a smoker? What are you? And the idea is concealing people that have uh, similar interests and compatibilities, and they can meet their perfect match to share the house. So someone who has a house with someone who is looking for one. So it's based on the human factor, the compatibility, and I'm in the initial stages. So I drowned all the app. I made the prototype and everything. I went to US to present my app at LibertyCon. I ended up in the third place, so I had no funding. So only the first place had funding,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to do it in Portugal with a dear friend of mine who is a programmer, and we are doing step by step. Um, we are trying to see which are the helps that again European Union gives, because they take away so much, then they have the goodwill of giving us back. And but it's so bureaucratic, you know. So if I want to ask help to European Union to fund my app, I need to have an accountant, and I need obviously to pay money to these accountants. And if I'm creating something that it's not giving me money yet because it's in the early stages, I won't I won't spend money on that. So it's like that, bureaucratic, bureaucratic, bureaucratic. So my friend is making a big deal in developing the app for me, and we will try to have some receipts with advertising and everything, and then let's try to accomplish the wills and requisitions of European Union. Everything ends and finish in this centralized state where
Well
they are
well
doing
well,
anything that it's not stolen before.
this sounds like a good partnership because he can do all the technical stuff that and you can go out and do all the advertising and the public relations and make the TV appearances. So that's
Yes, that's what he says. He says,
you
like, good
need
part that you already have a lot of followers on X, and
common interest, but have complementary complementary skills and
Yes.
yeah. So, okay, well, where can you have anything else to say before you go, Claudia? It's been great having you back on here.
Thank you very much. For me, it's everything. I take a lot of my chests.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's been lovely. And so, please, where can we find you out there on the net right now? Just on Twitter or
Yes, basically on Twitter, I'm trying to see if I can earn some engagement
yeah.
on a page that I created recently on Instagram called Claudia Shandy underscore Liberty. I have the intention of posting some reels because that's something that I used to do on X, and I'm trying to concentrate that in that page. Let's see if it works because for me YouTube doesn't work at all.
Now I remember too, there was something out there that was comparing you to Georgia Maloney in Georgia. You want to comment on that or not, or Georgia Maloney in Italy? That you
I don't know. People tend to do this comparison. I don't
maybe it's
know.
just because she looks like an older maybe she looks like you in 20 years or something like that. But
Yeah, probably it's like the same style, even the same hate.
yeah.
It's
Okay, well, thank you. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, go buy my novel Escape from the Village, check out my Substack, and obviously, and people are giving me money at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you, Claudia Nunes. I'm Chris Baker. We're out.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.